What would you do if the person who was supposed to love you unconditionally, the person whose last name you carry, stood up in a room full of people and said you don't exist? Nah, I don't know her anymore. Nah, we lost touch. But, she is not real. She is a fraud. She is nobody. That happened to me. In a courthouse. On a Tuesday morning in March. And the man saying it was my father. Welcome. If this is your first time here, we tell real-life inspired stories about family, betrayal, money, and what it actually takes to survive the people who were supposed to protect you. Today's story is mine. My name doesn't matter right now. What matters is this: I served my country for 8 years in ways I still cannot fully describe. I built a career from scratch. I stayed connected to my mother through a secret system that lasted 15 years. And when she died and left me everything she had saved, every single dollar from 40 years of coupon cutting and sacrifice, my own father hired a lawyer to tell a judge I was an imposter. He thought I had nothing. He forgot who raised me. The day he chose his wallet over his daughter. Here's the thing nobody tells you about family conflict. It rarely starts with the big moment. The courtroom. The explosion. The legal filing. It starts with a small, quiet choice someone makes, and then never takes back. For me, that choice happened on a Tuesday evening when I was 17 years old. I had a letter in my hand. A partial scholarship to a real university. I had worked for it. Fought for it. Stayed up until midnight studying in a house where nobody asked how school was going. I showed it to my mother first. She pressed her finger under each line like she was memorizing it. Her eyes got wet. She didn't cry. She just said, "Good. This is good." Then my father came home. He didn't sit down. Didn't smile. Read it standing up like he was skimming a receipt he planned to throw away. "College is a scam," he said. "I need you at the lot." That was it. No conversation. No negotiation. No, let's talk about this. Just a used car salesman telling his 17-year-old daughter that her future was worth less than a weekend shift at his struggling business. I told him I was going anyway. He pushed the letter back across the counter with 2 fingers, like it was something contagious, and said, "You work for me or you leave. Those are the only options. Now here's what I want you to notice." He didn't say, "I'm scared of losing you." He didn't say, "I don't know how to do this without you." He gave me a transaction. Work for me or get out. That night I packed 1 backpack. Jeans, 3 shirts, the letter, $42 in cash. He stood in the hallway while I packed. Didn't say a word. Didn't reach for me. When I walked past him he said, "Walk out that door and you are done. No calls, no coming back." I walked. And here is the thing that people always get wrong when they hear a story like this. They ask, why didn't you fight back? Why didn't you argue? Because when a parent makes it that clear that you are optional to them, when they put a condition on your presence in their own home, arguing isn't the answer. Leaving is. Not because you're giving up. Because you're choosing yourself before they can take that choice away from you. That night I walked 2 miles in the dark to my Aunt Maggie's house. I did not look back once. The secret that held everything together. I want to talk about my mother for a minute. Because this story only makes sense if you understand who Ruth was. Ruth was not loud. She was not the kind of woman who made dramatic speeches or stood in doorways with her arms crossed, refusing to back down. If you measured her by volume alone, you'd underestimate her completely. But Ruth saved. She saved like it was a religion. $20 here. $50 there. She cut coupons every Sunday and put the difference in an account my father never knew existed. She worked as a hospital receptionist for decades, directing people to the right wing, answering phones, filing papers, and she built something from almost nothing. $217,000. 41 years of silence and discipline. After I left, most people assumed Ruth and I were done. My father certainly did. He told people I was gone. Told himself I didn't want contact. Went on with his life and eventually married a woman named Donna who liked cruises and new kitchens and other people's money. What he didn't know, what he never thought to check, was that Ruth never stopped talking to me. Not once. Not for a single year. Here's how it worked. I'd write Ruth a letter and mail it to Aunt Maggie's address. Maggie hand-delivered it. Ruth wrote back the same way. Her letters to Maggie's mailbox. Maggie's hands to mine. 15 years. 47 letters from me. 39 letters back. My father checked a lot of things in his life. He checked his bank balance. He checked the weather. He checked whether Donna's credit cards had gone over the limit again. He never checked Maggie's mail. I turned 18 at a bus station in Richmond. I'd spent 9 months at Maggie's, working gas station shifts and studying for my GED. The day I passed, I walked into a recruiting office and signed papers before lunch. Military intelligence. That's all I'm going to say about the specifics, because that's genuinely all I'm allowed to say. What I can tell you is this, I was good at it. I was quiet, detail-oriented, and I had spent 17 years learning how to read a room where one person held all the power. It turned out that skill had a lot of real-world applications. I deployed 4 times. I earned commendations that have since been partially declassified. I was promoted faster than anyone in my intake class. And for 8 years, I existed in a space between visible and invisible. Present in federal systems. Absent from every civilian database my father or his eventual lawyer would ever think to search. No state tax filings. No voter registration. No social media. No property records. No utility bills under my name. 8 years of service to this country, and from the outside, if you looked at the wrong databases, it looked like I had simply vanished. That absence was about to become the most important thing in this story. When desperation masquerades as grief, here's something worth knowing about people who do what my father did. They don't usually start from a place of pure evil. They start from desperation, and then they let someone else hand them a strategy. By 2024, my father's car lot was bleeding. Inventory costs up. Customers moving to online platforms. He owed $120,000 to his business partner, who had been patient for 2 years and was done being patient. Donna had credit card debt he didn't know about until the statements arrived. 2 tax delinquency notices from the county. 3 liens on property. He was drowning. And he was still going to Rotary Club meetings and telling people business was strong. When my mother got sick, lung cancer, stage 4, 6 months, my father called her for the first time in 2 years. Ruth wrote about it in one of her letters. He asked how I was doing, but what he really wanted to know was whether I had a savings account. She saw it coming before the rest of us did. Donna saw the opportunity and whispered it to Gerald, Ruth has money. And if something happens to her, you deserve half. They didn't know about the will. Not yet. Ruth died in February. She had changed the will 2 years earlier. Everything went to me. The house, the savings, all of it. My father was listed as a courtesy notification. He was not a beneficiary. I'm told his reaction in the attorney's office was brief. He said, "That is impossible. She would not." Then Donna pulled him out of the room. 2 weeks later I received a certified letter from a law office I'd never heard of. Victor Hargrove, attorney, specializing in estate litigation. The allegation, I was not Shelby Collins. I was an imposter. A fraudulent party who had crawled out of nowhere to steal an inheritance. Their evidence. 8 years of silence. No civilian paper trail. No tax records. No voter registration. No social media. My father was telling a court I didn't exist. And his logic, as thin as it was built entirely on the gaps in my public record. What neither he nor his lawyer understood was that those gaps had a name. The United States Army. Here's the part that matters, and I want you to hear this clearly. If you've ever been in a fight where someone was using your silence against you, they were not trying to win. They were trying to wear me down. The text messages came out in discovery. Gerald to Donna, 3 days after the will reading, tell Victor to push the imposter angle. She can't prove 15 years. What if the judge doesn't buy it? Then we appeal. Keep her tied up in court until she settles. She won't want to fight this forever. That's it. That's the whole strategy. Not justice. Not grief. Not a father genuinely confused about whether his daughter was real. Just arithmetic. Exhaust her until she cuts a deal. My attorney, Rachel, said at the moment she read those texts, they're not trying to win. They're trying to wear you out. I told her, I spent 8 years in places where people tried to exhaust me for a living. This is Tuesday. Silence is not weakness. Sometimes it's the loudest thing in the room. While the case was building, my father and Donna went public. The barber shop. The diner. The hardware store. Anywhere someone would listen. Some woman showed up after Ruth died. Claims to be the daughter. But nobody's seen her in 15 years. Papers can be faked. The Real Shelby. She could be anywhere. She could be dead. Donna posted on a local Facebook group. A split-screen photo, my junior year yearbook picture next to a photo from my defense contractor's staff directory. The caption, so sad when strangers prey on grieving families. Pray for Gerald. The town listened. Not everyone believed it. But enough did. Maggie called me on a Tuesday night. People are talking, honey. He has them believing. I could have fought back. Posted on social media. Gone to the local paper. Knocked on doors. Told my story to anyone willing to hear it. I didn't. Not because I was scared. Because I was trained. In intelligence work, you don't engage when your information is incomplete. You don't reveal your position until you're ready to act. You wait. You verify. You prepare. I had a sealed envelope coming from the Pentagon. And when it arrived, it would say everything. Rachel filed the request through the Judge Advocate General's liaison office. Military personnel records. Identity confirmation through biometrics. Assignment timelines cross-referenced against deployment records. Commendation certificates reviewed for declassification. 3 weeks later, a binder arrived at Rachel's office. Thick, tabbed, thorough. Fingerprints taken at age 18, matched against federal records. DNA markers from my enlistment physical, cross-referenced with the Department of Defense database. A complete, continuous assignment timeline, June 2012 to August 2020. Not a single gap. 2 partially declassified commendation certificates. And a cover letter from the Department of Defense, addressed to the Clerk of Court, verified service record for Shelby and Collins. Social Security number confirmed. Fingerprint match confirmed. DNA verification confirmed. Continuous federal employment documented from June 2012 to August 2020. 15 years of my life. Condensed into a binder. Every year Gerald had declared empty, documented, verified, signed. I went to Rachel's office the next day to hold it in my hands. She looked at me over her glasses and said, "They filed this case because they assumed you had nothing. No records, no proof, no trail. They looked at the gaps and decided nobody could fill them." She paused. Now we walk into that courtroom with the Department of Defense saying you are exactly who you say you are. The courtroom. The envelope. The 5 words. The morning of the hearing I put on a navy blazer. I set my alarm for 5:15, same as every morning. Same routine. Same structure. The Army gives you that. Gerald arrived in a new charcoal suit. Donna wore black and pearls. Victor Hargrove carried a briefcase thick enough to look impressive. They had rehearsed. Gerald testified first. He performed grief beautifully. Voice cracking at just the right moment. Head shaking slowly. The word, wife, landing like it still cost him something. Victor presented his case with precision, no tax records, no voter registration, no social media, 8 years of absence. People do not simply vanish for 8 years, Your Honor. The absence is the evidence. He sat down. Gerald leaned back. Donna uncrossed and recrossed her legs. The gallery thought it was over. Rachel stood up. She didn't rush. She reached into her briefcase and removed one sealed envelope. Handed it to the bailiff. Your Honor, we have one exhibit. The room shifted. You could feel it, that half-inch everyone leans forward when something is about to change. Rachel explained what was inside. Fingerprints. DNA confirmation. A complete assignment timeline. 2 commendation certificates. A cover letter from the Department of Defense. The gap that Mr. Hargrove described is not a gap, Your Honor. It is 8 years of classified military service to the United States of America. Shelby Collins did not vanish. She served. The judge read every page. Then he set the binder down. Removed his glasses. Looked at Gerald. The room was silent the way rooms get when everyone realizes the story they were told is not the story that is true. Before the judge ruled, Gerald shot to his feet. His chair scraped the floor. She is an imposter. That woman is not my daughter. The judge, Mr. Collins. Sit down. Gerald sat. His hands were shaking. The judge asked Victor one question, before filing this motion, did you contact the Department of Defense? The National Personnel Records Center. Any branch of the military? Victor said no. You filed an imposter claim against a verified military veteran of the United States Army without contacting a single military or federal agency. Not a question. A sentence. Then he ruled. Motion denied. Estate distributed as written. And one more line, the filing referred to the State Bar for review of professional conduct. Gerald slumped. Victor's hands shook as he gathered his papers. Donna leaned over and whispered something sharp in Gerald's ear. It wasn't comfort. It was blame. Rachel touched my arm. It's done. The judge asked if I had anything to add to the record. I stood up. I looked at Gerald, this man who had stood in a hallway 20 years ago and told a teenager she was optional, and I said the only thing that needed to be said. 5 words. You erased me first. I sat down. His mouth opened. Nothing came out. Here's what I want you to take from this. Your silence is not your weakness. Your paper trail doesn't define your existence. And the people who try to erase you, whether it's in a courtroom, in a family, or in a conversation, they are counting on you believing you have nothing. Don't let them. Document everything. Build quietly. Stay ready. And when the moment comes, let the truth do the talking. If someone in your life needed to hear this today, share this video. It costs nothing and it might mean everything to them. Subscribe if you're new here. Drop a comment and tell me, have you ever had to prove yourself to someone who should have already known you? I'll see you in the next one.